is a podcast for everyone. Time to chat and have some fun. Shawk Talk, Shawk Talk. Shawk Talk, Shawk Talk, Shawk Talk. Shawk Talk.
All right, guys, welcome in. Happy Shawk Talk Tuesday, all, or whatever day of the week it might be for you out there in podcast land or Australia. But welcome in, everybody. We've got our next episode of Shawk Talk, episode 10 officially. For those of you that are new here, this is a podcast, as it says in the opening intro there, for everyone. We talk about 5 key categories. We talk about sports, gaming, music, cinema, that includes TV as well as movies, and then, food and drink. The details of each of those topics changes week to week with our special guests that we have. Speaking of which, let me introduce you guys to our special guest this evening. We've got none other than OldManLogan. Welcome in, OldManLogan. How's it going, sir?
I am doing well, Shawk. I'm honored to be here. I really am. I'm really thankful that you asked me to come on. I've been looking forward to this for several weeks since we talked about it. Actually, it was over a month.
Yeah, I'm a planner.
You are a planner, and I appreciate that. So I'm ready to go, man. This is going to be a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Oh, dude, I'm glad to hear that. I'm really super glad to hear that. So for anybody that is unfamiliar with you, man, give everybody a little bit of a background on you. Like, what's some history on you? What do you do? What do you like to do? What's something you do for fun, man?
All right. Well, I am a United States Army veteran. I served my country I can't speak very well for 8 years and change. Let me see. I'm now a licensed social worker. I did, after I got out of the Army, I did go back to school. I used my GI Bill, got my bachelor's degree, working on my master's. I am working on being a licensed social worker. I work at a assisted living facility, but the floor that I work on is more rehab oriented, where elderly people that have had a fall, they hurt themselves, they do rehab, and I help them discharge and set them up for success at home.
Dude, that's awesome, man.
I continue to serve, and I love what I do. It's one of those jobs where I enjoy what I do.
That is awesome. I was going to say, SVR in chat says, thank you for the service. It sounds like you're a very service-oriented type person, man. So I just want to say, being a teacher, I really appreciate anybody and everyone that is in the service industry in any capacity of any kind. So appreciate you, man.
Well, I do. I appreciate the words. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, sir. So for anybody that is unaware, guys, I just mentioned SVR in chat. We are recording this live on Twitch. That is Shaka08. If you guys are ever interested in joining the live chat and participating in the live recording of this show, you guys are welcome to do that over on Twitch. Otherwise, you can check us out on YouTube or Spotify or whatever other particular podcast platform you prefer. With that being said, guys, we're going to go ahead and get into our very first topic this evening, which is
the Spread on Sports.
All right, OldManLogan. So we've got a pretty solid topic here this evening. So we're going to be talking pretty heavily about the draft. So the NFL draft, to be clear, guys. So 1, it's in Pittsburgh, which is where I live. And 2, it's a pretty big deal. I mean, people make a big deal out of it. So it makes sense to talk about it since it's going to be starting here on this upcoming Thursday. Like I said, it is Tuesday here currently for this recording. So with the NFL draft, I don't know about you, OldManLogan. So being a Steelers fan, we have a pretty solid history of drafting well and making pretty good decisions for the most part as a team. But there are many teams out there that don't have a history of making great decisions. And I thought it would be fun.
Oh, Jeremy, there is a laundry list.
Yes. I thought it'd be fun to talk a little bit about the teams that don't do as well and who we think is going to make the dumbest draft pick for this year in the 2026 NFL draft. Who do you think that team might be?
Well, to be 100% honest, I think the biggest mistake in the draft has already happened. The draft
Oh.
hasn't even started.
Oh, okay. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah. So, my wife is a diehard Giants fan.
I had a
And
suspicion you were going here.
yeah, Dexter Lawrence, you gotta love him. Sexy Dexy. Had an off year. Didn't have a good year last year. He's really more of a nose tackle run clogger.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the Cincinnati Bengals and their divine wisdom, which, dude, I'll get on that rant in a minute. Holy shit. Decided to trade their number 10 pick in the draft. Top 10 pick.
Yeah.
Now, let me throw out a very interesting stat.
Ooh.
And I anticipated this because you'd sent me the topics ahead of time.
Right.
The last time a non-quarterback player was traded for a top 10 pick in the draft was Randy Moss.
Really?
That's the last time this has happened.
Interesting.
So this is massive. And it's a massive blunder. So you're
Wow.
taking a run stopper on an off year. He's not a sack specialist.
Right.
Yeah, for a man his size, he's got decent speed. He can shed off blockers. He knows a lot of tricks of the offensive line. Got that. But we're talking about a Cincinnati Bengal team who, while they have a star quarterback who's being paid an exorbitant amount of money out of UCLA, Joe Burrow, the man can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
The man cannot stay on the field. So what do you do with your 10th round draft pick? You trade it away to the Giants for a defensive player on an off year who wants $30 million a year. Yet you can't keep your quarterback healthy. You've ignored the offensive line for the past decade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have some of the best wideouts in the league, but dude, you can score points. Can you stop anybody? And you think Dexter Lawrence is the answer to Joe Burrow's woes? Dude, Cincinnati this year is going to be Cincinnati. They may make the playoffs, but the window of Cincinnati is over. Their best window is when Joe Burrow was still under a rookie contract.
Yeah.
Those days are now done.
So
And now we're in the reality of high contracts, trying to rebuild around him. It's not working because it's bad ownership. Cincinnati has bad ownership.
yes. So I was going to ask you, since you're kind of leading into this, so one would have thought, because there's some decent offensive lineman prospect in this draft, one would have thought, if you're going for Joe Burrow, if he's your man, you've already got your receivers locked in, you've got your quarterback, why not draft an offensive lineman? Solidify the line, give him the protection he needs. Instead, they go with a run-stopping defensive tackle. Do you think that this is just them attempting to, solidify the defense, or do you read into this a little more, like I'm kind of reading into it, and think they are saying or expecting Joe Burrow to say, see you later, I'm out of here? Because he kind of hinted about that. Like, do you think that they're just going to say, you know what, there's no point in, supporting him because he's going to be gone?
No, I honestly, I think this move is completely on the arrogance of Joe Burrow. I think he believes in how good he is, which let's not mistake. Joe Burrow is good.
Yeah.
That man has made throws that I sit back and go, holy shit. I mean, I'm a Pittsburgh Steeler fan. I got to face that douchebag twice a year. So yeah, I'm fully aware of what Joe Burrow can do. I think Joe Burrow likes where his offense is.
Mm-hmm.
He's pissed off about the defense. So I think he made a demand to the front office. Dude, get me defensive help.
Okay, I can see that.
Then the Dexter Lawrence thing happened where he demanded a trade and Cincinnati pounced. Now, you're right. Like, there is a offensive tackle, Francis, I'm going to mispronounce his name, Magoya, out of offensive tackle out of Miami, who would so fit that line and help protect Joe Burrow for the next decade. But they're not doing that. They're going for defense. And my biggest question is Joe Burrow going to stay healthy? Because as the past several years, he's suspect.
Right.
Like, I'm not questioning his greatness. He's been to the AFC. He's been to the he's done everything except win a Super Bowl. But
Yeah.
can he stay on the field? That's my problem. So yeah, okay. They want to address defense, but protection,
Yeah.
it's
I
a quagmire.
I think they gave up too much for him. Like I can't understand why they wouldn't be able to swing like a second round pick and then maybe next year's second round pick. You know, like 2 second round picks for him. He's like you said, he had a down year. He's a run stopping defensive tackle. He's not like Aaron Donald. Like I just don't understand why you give up that draft collateral for someone like that. Like it's just not worth that in my opinion.
100%.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing that I look at. They gave up Hendrickson, right? You
Mhm.
look at the numbers between Hendrickson and Sexy Dexy.
Yeah.
You're talking over 30 sacks, different like the numbers just don't make sense. This deal makes no sense. Now, on the
Mhm.
other hand, as upset and sad as my wife was because she loved Sexy Dexy, I'm consoling her, telling her, babe, do you understand that you have 2 picks in the top 10 of the draft?
Yeah, I think the Giants made out on this.
The Giants are in great shape.
Yes, I agree.
Great shape.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. So actually, when I made this question, it was before the Bengals trade happened. So
It was.
I was like, oh, this is perfect. It was
Yeah.
perfect because it was geared a little bit towards trades. Because so one thing that has changed compared to like the days of old with the draft, when the draft picks used to be paid through the roof, nobody would trade because nobody wanted to take on that extra money, that cap for a player. Now, because their numbers are much more lower, because of this current bargaining agreement, trades happen way more often. So
No,
I'm
they do.
expecting, I was expecting, I should say, someone to make a really dumb trade. I did not anticipate it to happen before the draft like it did with Cincy. So I was a little shocked by that. But I'm not going to go with Cincy because in this case, they are at least trying to bolster a weak point of their team. I think it was a bad trade. I think it was a bad decision, but they're at least the reasoning is there, in my opinion. I'm
Yeah.
going to go with a different team, but I'm going to stay in the same state. my
Oh
guess.
boy, go ahead.
I think
I'd
the
love
team that's
hear
going to make
this.
the dumbest draft pick is going to be the Cleveland Browns.
Oh,
'cause
like, you know what? If the Sexy Dexy trade hadn't happened, that would have been my pick.
Mm-hmm.
The
So
Browns.
So I would have been tempted to go with the Raiders because I think they're an absolute disaster right now, but it's pretty much a lock. They're going to take Fernando Mendoza.
Oh
and-
God, Mendoza's
and
is a lock.
he's a real solid pick. I don't think that's a bad pick at all. But the Browns, they need a quarterback, right? They've got Deshaun Watson. They got Dylan Gabriel. They got Shadur Sanders, which means they don't have any quarterback. So I think they're going to take another quarterback again already in this first pick. I think they're going to screw up and take another quarterback rather than just saying, you know what, we're going to ride it out, let this team fail miserably, trade down, get more picks, and then rebuild with what we can. Like, they're going to end up picking another quarterback, and it's going to be another disaster in Cleveland. I can see it happening already.
It's just I got to think about the draft class of quarterbacks, and well, yeah, that's a very that's a very good point. I just got to think about the prospects, and I mean, what Cleveland had I brought up. So Cleveland has the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have the 6th pick.
Yeah.
We know who the Raiders are taking. The Jets. I mean, I think it's going to be a position player. I don't think they're quarterback savvy. Arizona Cardinals, if they do not take Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame, they are fucking insane.
There's a lot of
Because
talk
that
about
dude
them taking
is
him,
a playmaker.
Yeah.
That dude, that kid is going to light shit up. The Browns, yeah, I could see them laying an egg in the draft. Absolutely. You know why? Because they're the Browns.
Yeah, exactly.
Deshaun Watson, they're the Browns.
Yep. what they do.
That's what they do. They're
what
Cleveland.
That's what Ohio does.
It's and the fact, you know what I never understood last year? Myles Garrett signing
Right?
I get the money. But dude, do you want to be in a team that never has even a remote chance of winning the chip?
Nope, never.
Not even a chance. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think the one team, in fact, if the Sexy Dexy trade hadn't happened, my guess would have been who's going to fuck up the draft? The Browns.
The Browns, right? Exactly.
It's either between the Browns or the Jets, because the Jets organization has been in turmoil for decades.
So the Jets, my only thing with the Jets is I don't necessarily think that their drafting is horribly incompetent. I think that their coaching and general personnel management is incompetent.
Completely inept.
Like they have drafted some good players. Like they took Sauce Gardner, right?
Yeah.
So they've been able to draft good players. They just can't build a productive institution is their problem. So I mean Cleveland's the same situation, obviously, but they also screw up horribly when it comes to the draft and making terrible decisions. So
they did. I will say one thing about the Jets and their defense.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing. They banked on Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
First drive of the first season, 5th play in, he got hurt for the year.
Yeah.
A man of that age suffering that kind of ACL injury, coming back the next year is not going to be 100%. He gave it his all, but the Jets, they blew 2 years worth of talent on Aaron Rodgers, but through no fault of his own. Like he pulled back, like I've seen the video. I don't know how many times he went back, he dropped back in a pass, and you saw you could like, you look at the video and you see his Achilles, it ruptured, like,
right.
boom,
You see it pop. Done. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the Jets were, and again, we're talking about a franchise that has probably the worst luck other than the Cleveland Browns. So, I'm not sure who they're going to have behind center this year. They do still have a relatively young defense. They have been a defensive force even when Robert Saleh was the head coach there. So we'll see about that. But they're still the Jets. Look at AJ Brown is slated to go to the Patriots. Josh Allen is still with the Bills.
Yep.
Like, if you're a Jet fan, I'm sorry, but you're not making the playoffs.
Right. You're not even getting a winning record, let alone making the playoffs.
No, you're not. You're hoping for next year's draft.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's bound to be, I think, one of those three. Cincinnati being the one that's already kind of the shoe-in. Cleveland or Jets would probably be the other one most likely, I would say. All very, very, very good options. Let us know in the comments, guys. Who do you think is going to make the dumbest draft move, the dumbest draft pick, trade, whatever it might be in this year's draft? Logan, our over-under for this is trade-related. So the over-under is 11.5 first-round trades. So traditionally, we see between 10 and 12 first-round trades since the new bargaining agreement came out. Do you think we're going to see more than 11.5 or less than 11.5?
I think we're actually going to see more. I could see Tennessee trading down for more draft capital because they're in an absolute rebuild right now.
Mm-hmm.
I could see the Saints trading down because they're in a rebuild mode. I think some of the top, like the Raiders, Jets, Cardinals, I think their picks are set. They know who they want.
Yeah.
The Titans, and man, I could even possibly throw in the Commanders. I know their quarterback was hurt last year. He is a superstar. He's really good. We'll see what happens this year. I honestly, and I was talking to my wife about this, I could see the Giants trading down from the 10th pick, because how the Giants, I think, are going to look at the 10th pick was free. Because John Harbaugh's, and he already said this, he's not going to be held hostage by a defensive player on an off year that wants $30 million a year. Mm-hmm. So they're getting a 10th pick. How I think the Giants should do it is, in their first pick the best wideout on the board to complement Malik Neighbors, who has a hard time staying healthy. The Giants' next pick at 10, pick for the future. Pick an offensive lineman that's going to help Jackson Dart protect his blind side.
Yeah.
Now, they could take that 10th pick and kind of, because there are going to be so many teams salivating for the top 10 pick.
Yep.
They could get a first and at least a third or a fourth for the number 10 pick and build draft capital from there. So I think the Giants are in play. The Saints are in play. I think the Chiefs could even trade down.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of fucking teams this year where a lot of movement could happen.
Yeah, I see picks 6 through 15-ish being pretty heavy prime targets for trades. Like you said, the top 5 I think are pretty well locked at this point.
Yeah.
But I kind of am with you to some degree on that second pick being an offensive lineman. But what I see John Harbaugh going is that first pick trying to pick like Sonny, what's his face, the linebacker from Ohio State. I see him going there, taking his Ray Lewis of the future, and then going with a lineman to complement the offense. But
I honestly, I have the Giants picking Carnell Tate, wide receiver out of Ohio State.
That early, wow.
Yeah, no, their first pick because here's the problem. Malik Neighbors is injury prone. He was out all of last year. He's a great receiver, but the problem is he was overused.
Yeah.
Jackson Dart was targeting him almost 70% of the time.
Right.
You put someone like Carnell Tate, who's 6'2", can break away from coverage and has this innate ability from Ohio State to get open.
He's like Larry
That is
Fitzgerald.
ridiculous that you put and here's the other thing, Shaka. And this is what's very interesting about the Giants. All of their young players are still on rookie deals.
Mhm.
John Harbaugh knows that their opportunity to get the best playmakers are right now before they're under contract.
Yep, I agree.
Right now.
It sounds like we're both kind of very high on the Giants right now. Look out, Cowboys. Your era is over, buddy.
You know what? I'm like Stephen A. Smith. The Cowboys are a fucking mess. Oh my God. Jerry Jones needs to fucking retire and let an actual general manager run that team.
Amen to that, sir. Amen to that.
Ugh, God.
Just for the point of counter argument, I'm going to go with the under on first round trades here because
really
I don't see I don't see enough super big name stars that people are motivated to trade up for. I think there's lots of teams that will want to trade down, but I don't think there's going to be teams that want to trade up. So I think you're going to see a lot of teams just sticking like the Steelers are a prime example. I wouldn't be shocked if they don't move up. Like, I think there's a lot of teams that are just very comfortable with what's available from that 10 to 20 range, and they'll just sit and they'll wait. They won't bother to trade up into that 6 to 15 range. So I think it's going to be an under. I think it is going to be close though. I wouldn't be shocked if it's 11. Like, it's right on that border of our over under. So
yeah, as a quick retort, I will give you real quick. I know we got to get to the next topic, but as a quick retort, I'm going to slightly disagree with you just for the simple fact that if you look at the first top 10 picks of the draft, a very small amount are offensive. Right. If you look at, players like Averill Reese, linebacker out of Ohio State, you look at Sonny Styles, linebacker out of Ohio State, you have safeties, you have defensive play stoppers in this draft that I could see a lot of teams that already have their offense set. They're missing that one piece. So I could see them taking their first and maybe third pick and offering maybe the Jets. I don't think Arizona will do it because they're going to get that running back out of Notre Dame. They would be stupid not to. But there's a lot of other teams in the top 10, top 15 that I think a lot of trade-ups could happen because this draft is incredibly defensive heavy. There's a lot of defensive stars in this draft.
Yeah. See, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I think most of those teams that are lower don't need the offensive players. They need the defensive players. They have the offense in place.
So players like the Rams, who are offensively proficient, the Detroit Lions, I could see them making a move with a lower first round draft pick, offering a third, and then being like, you know what, I want to move into the top 10.
That's a
I mean,
big
they're going to
trade
make
up.
like the phone calls are going to be made.
Wow. So you're talking like teams 25 to 32 trading up.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
They're looking for a defensive stopper. They want to offer their first round pick, maybe a second or a third.
Mhm.
You're looking at a team rebuilding, wanting to build draft capital. Yeah. Yeah. I could see teams
Interesting.
going for it.
Interesting. I hadn't considered the teams that were that low. I didn't think they would be willing to trade that high up. But that's a good point. If they're willing to do it.
You look at the teams that are low in the draft. What was the biggest issue in this last year's postseason? Defense,
yeah.
Everybody put up score. Everybody was dropping dimes in the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest problem was defense.
Yep. Interesting. Let us know, guys, in the comments. What do you think? Do you think we're going to have more than 11 and a half first round trades, less than that? And then more importantly, who do you think is going to have the dumbest draft day move of all the teams? I'm excited to hear everybody's hate on all the different teams that are out there. Everyone's going to say it's the Steelers because they just hate the Steelers. All right, next up, we've got
Galaxy of Gaming.
All right, so we got a fun topic today, especially because of your background of games that you like. This was one that I picked kind of specifically for you. So our gaming guys, for those of you that are not familiar, we have a statement that we make, and then we rate this statement as either reasonable or ridiculous. Our statement for today is extremely difficult games, like super extremely difficult, guys, super extremely difficult, are more satisfying than easy games. OldManLogan, do you think this is reasonable or ridiculous?
Reasonable.
Reasonable,
100%, 100% reasonable. 100%. 100%.
Why? Let me ask you this first. What are some extremely difficult games that you have played that you can kind of give as an experience behind this?
All right, so I'm going to date myself a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I have beaten several times in my youth Ninja Gaiden on the NES.
Okay.
Which has been described by some people as one of the most difficult video games that has ever been made.
Ooh.
And then I got a little older.
Okay.
And I want to credit my son, Young Skywalker, for getting me into it. It was shortly after Skyrim came out, and I thought Skyrim was a shit, open world, all that. And he introduced me to a game called Dark Souls.
Okay, I heard of that one.
So Dark Souls in any iteration, Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Elden Ring,
Mm-hmm.
they are ridiculously hard.
Yeah.
The boss fights are epic. It's one of those things where you are going to die probably close to 6 to a dozen times figuring out the pattern of the boss before you can beat it. And that's even if you're at the right gear level.
Yeah.
So I have always found more satisfaction out of beating games that are ridiculously difficult rather than playing a Call of Duty match with bots where you're guaranteed to just blow everyone out of the water. You know, like I'm a big fan of some of the Resident Evil games. Once you
Mhm.
get unlimited ammo, I get bored because then you're just running around fucking murking everything and you just walk around with reckless abandon like I don't give a shit. But Dark Souls is one of those different kind of games where the bosses are challenging. You have to level your character up dependent on the class you want to do. Like if you want to do a strength build, magic build. If you want to do a quality build where you can do kind of heavy yet light weapons. You want to do a dexterity build where you're all about speed. Like you can do all these different things, and every time you try a different build, each boss fight is a little different. Like a strength build, you go in, you hit it once or twice, you roll out. But with a dex build, it's different. You can do like 4 or 5 attacks, then roll out. So it's different. I'm definitely more of, I like games that are harder. I get more sad because when you finally beat a boss that's whooped your ass 15 times and you finally beat it, you kind of sit back and go, you know what, bitch? I got you. I got you. And you feel good about yourself.
So I don't completely disagree with what you're saying. I'll put it that way. I'm going to put a little asterisk onto it. Okay. So for me, it depends on how they make that game difficult. So an example I'll use. So I have not played the Dark Souls games, Elden Ring. I have, for the most part, not played a lot of the extremely difficult historically games. I did play God of War, not Ragnarok, not the recent 2018 version, but the old God of War, the original God of War trilogies. Played those all on God of War mode. And that was so incredibly satisfying, especially because I what's it called, platinumed them. I got every single trophy on all three of them.
That shit's hard.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
shit is hard.
it's so difficult. But that difficulty is, in my opinion, pure skill. Like, so the way they would play it is, if you got touched once, you were done. Like you were like a glass cannon kind of situation. But when we got the new God of War, the 2018 version in Ragnarok, they changed the way that they did it. So you were still a glass cannon to some degree, but everyone's health was just insanely high. Like, it would take
it
you
was ridiculous.
an hour just to beat 5 to 10 little side guys. Like, not even the main boss. Like, it became to the point where, yes, was it a challenge? Absolutely. But it was boring. It was super boring because it just took forever to beat something that you strategically and skill-wise were able to beat. It just took time. And that is not satisfying. So I think there's a key distinction here on how they do that difficulty achievement. If they do it in a way that involves precision and skill and execution, yes, I'm all aboard that train. But if it's just, hey, we're going to move the sliders to an insane degree and it's going to take you an hour to beat this boss, well then, no. Like, that's dumb. In my opinion, at least.
Yeah.
But I'll also say this as a counter argument. There is something just super fun and satisfying about playing super lighthearted games too. So, like, I'll use an example of, like, Fall Guys. Playing Fall Guys with a whole, a big crew of people. Playing Mario Kart back in the day. Like, games like that are just simply fun, especially community type games where you're playing with a group of people. That to me can also equally be just as satisfying as those solo individual games that you play. I think there's definitely something to be said about those types of games and the level of satisfaction when you have a community to play them with.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. While I do enjoy difficult games, every now and again I just want to have some mindless fun.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. Depending on what kind of gamer you are, you can always have mindless fun. And the place where I always go back to is Call of Duty Zombies. Every now and again I just want to turn on a map and see how far I can get and just blow the heads off of hundreds of zombies and just call it a night. Yep. I just want to have some quick fun, and that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody, yeah.
I don't disagree at all, man. I feel like this is such a tough question to answer because it almost feels like it depends on the mood you're in. Like, and to some degree the player you are. Like, so Dunk in episode 2 and I kind of talked a little bit about difference in games. We talked a little bit about social games versus solo games, that kind of thing. And I think it depends on, and I think Jonu and I had the same conversation in episode, what was that, 6, I believe, 7, something like that. I think the type of player you are has a big impact on how you might answer this. Like, so I tend to be driven more by solo story-driven games versus, societal group type gaming stuff. So I would tend to lean with you, I think, in this instance, in saying that it's reasonable because it is extremely satisfying when you beat all of those feats in God of War on God of War mode. Like, you can't replicate it, and it's such a bragging point too. Like, I know that's not for everybody, but like, you just feel so awesome. It's like it's the way I would equate it
Feel good.
is like music. Like when you practice, a concerto and you practice the crap out of it, and it is so hard and so challenging, and then you freaking nail it after hours and hours and hours and hours of work and practice, and you finally get it. It is just it's a level of satisfaction that you can't replicate on regular, short-term successes. It's something that with it as a teacher, like unfortunately it's dead in today's age with TikTok and all that stuff. Like no one experiences long-term successes anymore. Here we are. We're going to sound old again, but maybe that's why we think that this is reasonable and not ridiculous. Maybe age has something to do with it too.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Man, I didn't think we were going to go to that route, but I think it's probably pretty accurate. Yeah, get off my lawn, says Aussie Mike, right? One of our former guests as well, guys.
Well, I think gaming for a lot of people that are older that gamed back in the day of Sega, Super Nintendo, grew up on that, had the Sega Saturn, had the original PlayStation. Like our gaming experience was so much different from what people are experiencing today. And a lot of the games today are instant gratification.
Yes.
Like you want to win now, be good at it now. And they don't understand some of the struggles that some of us old timers went with some of these fucking games where we are beating our heads up against a fucking wall trying. Like I remember the first controller I ever broke in my life was a wired Nintendo controller over Ninja Gaiden. It is the first controller I ever broke because because you would die and then you were at towards the end of the game, you would die and you got sent back like 3 levels and you're like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? And it was so bad. It was so bad, but I can say I beat it. So I feel good about it. Here's the funny thing. I would love for gamers today play, it would be alien to them, but play Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah.
For the Nintendo. Play that. Tell me how far you get. Like, please.
So, Baby Yoda also kind of brings up a good point in chat here. He mentioned about the difference between back then. So you didn't have the open world dynamics of a lot of the games as much because of just, computing capacity and things like that. You had some games that were like that, but most games I feel like were very, directional. Like here's the path you're going to take. Here's the things you have to overcome. It's very linear versus today. It's much more open world and exploratory in a lot of these games. And I think when you're in that scenario, you don't want everything to be super crazy difficult because nobody would ever complete the game. There's just too much content to do with that open world nature on top of an extremely difficult wall to overcome, kind of a situation. I agree. So that's a whole nother good point too, that the style of gaming has evolved so much that it's probably too hard to make it that difficult anymore. But yeah, good stuff. Let us know in the comments, guys. OldManLogan and I are definitely saying it is absolutely reasonable, confirmed, guys. Extremely difficult games are more satisfying than easy games. Let us know in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Are we just, old man Simpson yelling to get off the lawn and yelling at the cloud in the sky and all that jazz? Or are we on track here with what we're saying? Yeah, right. All right, next up, moving into some
musical music.
Thanks, Aussie Mike. I agree, but you guys are old. Next up, we've got our music topic for today, guys.
We are.
This is one I'm super excited to talk about because I feel like you're a bit more of an old soul in music compared to a lot of our guests. A lot of our guests are more modern and new era, and so I don't mesh well at all because I don't know anything after 1950. So I think this is going to be a fun discussion. Our topic today, guys, for those of you, again, that are new here and unaware, we do an A versus B type setting for music. Which is more impactful on modern day music? Blues music or classical music? I cannot wait to get into this one. First of all, are you more of a blues man or a classical man?
Um, I'm I'm more than a blues man. I'm a student of the blues.
Okay, so you're definitely blues heavy. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have seen Buddy Guy in concert twice. I have seen Joe Bonamassa 3 times in concert. When it comes to the blues, I think it is the most breathtaking, beautiful music I have ever heard in my life. When it comes to your question of what has been more influential,
Mm-hmm.
are we at that point, or do you want me to pause?
You can go ahead and answer it if you want to. It's okay.
I have to give it to the blues.
Okay.
And while classical music has its place,
Mhm.
Mozart, Beethoven, Frederick Chopin, lots of people have done their contribution to music. But we're talking about musicians that were in the 1700s. We're in a different era.
Oh, this is gonna get
Um,
spicy.
So, in my opinion, especially Britain, North America before rock and roll hit,
Mm-hmm.
the greatest influences were Lightning Hopkins, Howlin' Wolf, John Lee Hooker, Muddy Waters,
Mm-hmm.
Buddy Guy. I mean, we are talking about blues legends.
Yes.
People
Old school blues.
whose ancestry was built on slavery of picking cotton.
Yep.
And they developed a musical discipline called the blues. And then as that was developed, as history progressed, you look at certain bands that were influenced. And I'm going to give you 2.
Okay.
First one is the Beatles. Now, at first, the Beatles were mostly let's be 100% honest, the Beatles were the first boy band ever.
Yeah,
They were the
I would
first
agree with
boy
that.
band.
Yeah.
Yeah. As their career progressed and they did more psychedelics,
Mm-hmm.
they started to kind of realize the blues roots. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, different albums, they evolved.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at a band like Led Zeppelin, where their first fucking album, there is not a song on that album. In Led Zeppelin 1 or 2, even 3, I might add. 3, they kind of went a little bit more pop. But 1 and 2, not one song. Like, dude, when the levee breaks, that is blues.
Uh-huh.
100% blues. There has not been a more influential genre of music than the blues. You look at the greatest guitar player, in my opinion, that is alive today, and Joe Bonamassa. I've seen him in concert 3 times, and that man makes love to a guitar,
Mm-hmm.
and I sit there in ecstasy watching him do it. Like, it is incredible.
So
I love classical. There are some elements of classical I like. I actually have a classical playlist that I listen to depending on my mood.
Mm-hmm.
But more often than not, the blues have had the biggest impact in music history when it comes to rock and roll and music today. Even Alice in Chains, who is I'm a student of the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Alice in Chains is one of the, like, Lane Staley and Jerry Cantrell. That band is one of the greatest bands ever put together. They got their influence from Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin got their influence from the blues.
Right.
The blues has transcended generations.
So
That's all I've got to say about that.
So I'm not saying anything that you said is wrong. All of that is highly, highly accurate. Very, very accurate. I think one thing that we need to kind of, before I give my answer as to whether it's A or B, is to kind of try to highlight what aspects of each of these genres has impacted the most. So, for instance, when we think of blues music, we think primarily of chord structure. So most modern, we'll say rock, classic rock, those kinds of genres. Not so much hip hop.
Yeah.
That's a little different. But most of those genres, their chord structure is heavily, heavily, heavily dependent on the blues. Not identical, but very, very much from that, based on that. In addition to that, a lot of the scale passages that they use, using a Dorian scale, for instance, very, very common. A pentatonic scale, very, very common, especially in improv. Those are all taken from the blues. So
yes,
most of the chordal effect and melodic effect of current music is taken from the blues, without a doubt. Don't disagree with that at all. From a form standpoint, a little bit different. So with the blues, you have your 12-bar blues, and that's pretty much it. You don't really venture outside of that because the blues are about telling a story. And so you kind of stick to a poem format, if you will, where you have just this repeated process from a form standpoint to follow because you're telling a story. That makes a ton of sense, okay? And that works in some current modern music, more so when we get into the classic rock eras, rhythm and blues, yes. But a lot of current day music uses classical music as their primary influence when it comes to form. So if we think about typical music of today, we typically will have a verse, a chorus, we might have a pre-chorus sometimes, we have a bridge. Those are kind of your four core things. We might have an intro or an outro that goes along with it as well. If we look back at classical music, this is where a lot of people don't realize this. If you haven't, gone deep into classical music and the form of classical music, we have those same things. So in an aria,
what you're talking about is structure.
Structure, correct.
Structure of the song.
So the technical term is form, because when we talk about structure, you can get into harmonic structure, which is a little different. That's more like the chordal structure of a song. When it comes to a form structure, it's very, very much the same. So what we call a development in classical music is a modern day bridge. It's the same thing, except that in classical music, it was way more complex, way more elaborate, and much longer. Same thing if we have, in an aria, for instance. If you have an aria is essentially a verse in an opera. Same kind of scenario here in modern day music. We have the aria is our modern day verse. So all of these form aspects of music that existed in the classical era have transcended into what we currently have in modern day music. So all of the form of modern day music is a direct descendant of classical music. So it gets really, really tricky as to which one is more influential here, because it kind of to some degree depends on the specific genre we're talking about. Like if you're talking classic rock, then yeah, I agree. I would go, it's blues. Blues is probably the bigger influence. If we're going more pop, I would tend to lean classical because they're not doing as much improv-based stuff. They're following more of just a real basic structure and following the form more than anything else. If you're going for a song that's doing more story-driven approaches, blues. If you're going with something that's just poppy and catchy, it's more classical, where it's a hook. Like that's the fun. So when I teach classical eras of music history, so we talk about the Baroque era versus the classical era versus the Romantic era. It's funny because I talk about how the classical era is essentially modern day pop music. Like when they wrote that music, it wasn't about telling a story. It wasn't about having developments and and making you feel like you're in a moment in a story. It was just about writing a hook. They just wanted to write a hook that the people would like to listen to, and they would want to listen to it over and over and over again. It was literally modern day pop music in the classical era. Like, so it's surprising, especially if you don't have the background knowledge about these things, that there really is a lot of connection between classical music and pop music of today in particular. And people just aren't aware of it.
You know what? You just you very much just educated me on the, no, like I never thought of it that way. That is actually very insightful, and I'm 100% on board with what you said. So I think the ultimate answer to this topic is both genres have had a
Oh,
very
yeah.
profound effect
Without a
on
doubt.
music today. I think the blues and classical have had, you know, the trickle effects of those pioneers that really moved forward
Hmm.
with music have shown their faces, and I think that stands even today.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah, I agree, man. Even after our discussion that we had here and the info that we dropped between the two of us, you still going blues as the most influential?
I'm still gonna go blues just because, and it's only, I totally 100% back what you're saying,
Uh huh.
but considering the music that I listen to regularly,
Hmm.
that was all blues influenced. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with that one.
I hear what you're putting down. I maybe a little shockingly on this. I am going to go with blues as well. Actually, despite my little argument for classical era. Um,
Dude, you had an outstanding fucking argument that
Thank
made
you.
me think.
Yeah. Despite that, with especially in American Western culture in particular, blues, the impact from a structural and melodic standpoint is just far too heavy. Classical obviously influenced blues as well, so some of
Yeah,
that has
it
transcended
did.
through the blues era. I think if we were in a different part of the world, if we were in Europe, for instance, where Western pop music is not as popular, then I think classical might win out in that discussion. But at least here in America and Western music in particular, I got to give the edge to the blues. I really got to do. Yep. Rip Bach, guys.
There was actually an article I read real quick comparison of, I can't remember what symphony it was by Beethoven. It might have been the 12th. I don't know, but it was a long, kind of drawn out, slow kind of melody. And there was an article that was read that kind of brought it in comparison of Buddy Guy's song Stone Crazy.
Okay.
Because Stone Crazy was, it was a certain guitar riff with a lyrical bass, and then it went into kind of a lull of melody, and then back to lyrics and a guitar solo. And and again, I cannot remember what Beethoven symphony piece it was orchestrated from, but it was compared, and I remember listening to the two and went, holy shit, that's actually kind of rounds on target accurate. So I'm totally on board with what you're saying, because there are certain, because here's the other thing. I think while blues really had a big impact on today's rock and roll and hip hop,
Mm-hmm.
it all stemmed from classical.
Mm-hmm.
That was the originator.
The fun part of blues, and people may not realize, like jazz in general. Obviously, blues is kind of an extension of jazz. Blues is um, more influenced by spirituals in particular than pure jazz is. But both of them are a direct descendant of classical music, French music of all things, French harmonic structure in particular,
Oh, very
and
French.
and then the Western African music. The three elements all kind of combined to kind of create jazz. I actually, one of my college topic papers, things or whatever, was on the birth of jazz. And it's a fun fact. A lot of people don't realize that France actually had a pretty significant impact on us having jazz. That's one of the reasons why, and if anybody's familiar with like New Orleans, for instance, New Orleans has a heavy, heavy, heavy French influence. And
They really
that's
do.
that's
Yeah.
why. It's because France
Creole.
essentially, created or was a big part of creating it, I should say, jazz as we know it. By the way, just so I'm curious, you're gonna have to let me know on the Beethoven thing that you mentioned there, because I'm trying to like figure out which one I think it would be. So Beethoven only wrote 9 symphonies. Was the last one that he did. The ninth one is arguably his most transformative, probably. That's the Ode to Joy symphony.
Yeah, it might have been his ninth one.
That would
Yeah,
be my
I
guess.
think that was it.
But if it's not,
I'd have to listen to it. I'd have to
Yeah.
go back and listen to each one and be like, all right, that, because I remember reading that
Mhm.
and going, all right, I went back and listened to both songs and I went, oh shit, that's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
If it's not that, it could potentially be the Eroica as well, because that one's pretty famous for being super duper duper lyrical as well. That's the Symphony Number 3. So kind of depends. I'm just interested to see if I could guess correctly on that one. But let us know in the comments, folks. Which one do you think is the more impactful genre on current modern day music, blues or classical? I'm sure this is gonna raise some very interesting discussions and topics and opinions from many people. And excited to hear everybody's thoughts on that.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Next up, guys, we've got
Scintillating cinema.
All right, so we're gonna get a little Star Wars action. I know you are a Star Wars fan, sir. We don't always do Star Wars stuff here, guys. Obviously, Star Wars is kind of a big background for me, and with OldManLogan, I knew that this was a big thing for him, so we wanted to get into some Star Wars stuff for this topic. Right now, currently, the animated show Maul Shadow Lord is coming out over time as we speak, and the reviews on it are very good thus far. And
that's what I've heard.
Because of that, yeah, I actually have not watched any of it yet. I'm gonna kind of try to, what's the term? Binge. I'm gonna binge all of it the night before the finale, and then we're gonna actually do a watch party for the finale. Fun fact. Anyway, but because of this kind of made me think, with the recent failure of a lot of the movies, and in particular the live action series that they've had. This raises a question for me, and that is, should Star Wars focus on animation more than live action right now with how things are going? Do you think that statement would be a 2 thumbs up, 1 thumb up, 1 thumb down, or 2 thumbs down?
I'm going to apologize to some of the purists right now. I'm going to give it 2 thumbs up.
Mm.
And here's my reasoning behind that. I'm old school.
Mm-hmm.
Next month, I'm going to be 50 years old.
Yeah.
My father, he tells me this. I don't remember shit about it. I was a toddler and I saw The Empire Strikes Back in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember it. I remember seeing Return of the Jedi in theaters. That I remember. I remember seeing The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I don't know, Star Wars kind of hit a weird point where some of the movies were suspect. And then, as a purist, I thought, well, maybe the only way, let me backtrack real quick. So my faith was restored with Rogue One.
Yes, I was gonna say, yeah.
Rogue One is probably, next to Empire Strikes Back, the greatest Star Wars movie I've ever seen.
I agree.
Rogue One was perfect, like perfect. But as oh god, J.J. Abrams and these other movies and the rise of Skywalker and this dog shit they fed us and these absolutely half-assed bullshit stories. Yet I've watched the Clone Wars. I haven't watched Maul Shadow Legends yet. I've heard it's good. I think the future in Star Wars is telling past stories of past characters to enrich the lore of the Star Wars universe. And I think the only way to do that is through animation. I just don't trust anyone doing live action shit anymore. I don't. I enjoyed Obi-Wan to a point.
Right.
I think the only part that I thought was, and I will say this, I don't know how people feel about the Obi-Wan series, but that last fight they had, and he knocked half his mask off, and he said, "I'm sorry, Anakin." Dude, I was in fucking tears.
You realize
I
that.
was in fucking tears when that happened.
So every time somebody brings that up, I get a little triggered because you realize they copied that from Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay.
It was the fact that it was Obi-Wan.
I get
and
defensive
like,
of Dave Filoni. I'm like, that's Dave Filoni's scene, damn it.
it did. It brought me to tears because it was just so powerful at that point of those two characters. But I think at this point, I think the future of Star Wars is animation.
So
I really do.
Here's my thing with this. So I think one thing you said was really, really, really important there. So a lot of the backstory and delving into the history and, extensions of a story, I think absolutely should be done with animation, not live action.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like the whole Kenobi series should have never happened. That if you were going to do that, which I think should not have happened, period. But if you were going to do that, make it animation. Make it so that you can do lots of episodes to provide lots of content and lots of depth of knowledge. You can't do that with a live action series because you need big name actors that are going to cost too much money. It's not like Game of Thrones where you hired a bunch of no names that you could have for 8 seasons when what probably should have been 12 seasons. Like they can't do that. So,
No, I'm sure Ewan McGregor was most of their budget.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. So use animation for those things. And then what I would prefer is that your live action is reserved for movies only. With a big caveat here, because obviously they've screwed that up miserably as well. And the big issue with that is they tried to be the MCU. They tried to just put out a ton of content across all platforms, and they didn't have the actual written material. They didn't have the substance to be able to back up the content they were putting out. They didn't have the MCU. The MCU has thousands of comics to pull from. They have this massive wealth of knowledge. Same thing with like Game of Thrones. They have these massive amount of books and content to pull from when they make these movies and TV shows and things like that. Star Wars doesn't. They don't have that, or at least when they make these movies and shows, they're not using the stuff that does exist. Like I don't.
It's true.
I don't understand that either. But like, save your live action stuff for a very, very focused, well targeted, well thought out, well developed story. It doesn't have to be about our core opera group. It doesn't have to be at the Skywalker saga. It could be Mando. It could be, a Baby Yoda. It could be other things that we haven't explored yet. But make that a compelling, self-contained story, and then use the animation to provide context and extension and background and everything to go with that well flushed out, developed story. That's kind of where my big thing is, personally.
No, I agree. I'm on board.
They did have that, says SVR, but Disney said, nah, that doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole nother discussion
Disney.
there.
Yep.
So correct me. I forget what you said your rating was. Was it 2 thumbs up, 1 thumb up, 1 thumb down, or 2 thumbs down?
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs
that
up.
I really think that the future of Star Wars should go into animation. I really do.
That's right.
I do.
So I'm gonna say
I have no faith in live action anymore. I have not. In fact, the Mandalorian and Grogu, I'm gonna walk into that with skepticism.
I'm with you. I don't expect it to be very good. I'm going to say 1 thumb up just simply for the fact that I don't want them to abandon live action entirely. I think it should still exist, but in the capacity that I mentioned. So I don't want to say a full 2 thumbs up because I don't want them to abandon it completely and just focus on animation entirely. But I think animation should be their primary focus at this point, with every maybe 3 to 5 years drop a movie, something like that. So
I will say if Bill Burr appears in the Mandalorian Grogu movie, it'll be great.
I thought Bill Burr was great in the Mandalorian.
Oh my God, his character was awesome.
Especially the the one scene where he like actually kind of gets like emotional and character driven.
Oh my God.
Like,
When
yeah,
the Mandalorian has his helmet off and
Yeah.
he's talking about an old military campaign,
Yeah.
that was intense.
Yeah,
that was very, very like, and I remember watching that going, oh my God, Bill Burr is like one of the comedians that I idolize in this generation of comics. And he is playing a serious scene and he is playing it well.
yeah.
That was outstanding.
It's impressive how some comedians out there do really have acting chops. Like he is a good example of one. Nick Offerman in The Last of Us is another one I think of where we saw him and it was like, holy cow! Like he can really freaking act. Like it's just
I know Parks
cool
and
to see that.
Recreation. We loved him, and then we saw him in that, and we were like, holy shit!
Yeah, it's really cool to see some of these guys really flex their acting chops, if you will. SVR raises a good point here in chat as well about the Starfighter movie. We didn't really talk about that. I'm hopeful about that as well because that is a completely unexplored topic at this point. So should be exciting to see where they go with that. Hopefully,
I am looking forward to that. Yeah, so we will see. We will see.
Agreed. Good stuff, guys. Let us know in the comments, folks. Do you want to see more animation, or do you think the live action animation balance is good as it has been in the past? I don't imagine many people are going to be on board with that. All right. Last topic.
Tiramisu tap room.
Something that's a little bit more on the lighthearted side here today, guys. We've got our food and cocktail type. I kind of gave a spoiler away there. Food and drink topics here. What we call the tiramisu, if you will. Fun little thing here. Tiramisu tap room. So today we are going to be tier ranking 5 different things. And for anybody that is new here, tier ranking involves 5 tiers in this case: S tier, A tier, B tier, Canada, as we affectionately call it, or C tier, and then D tier, D being the lowest in this situation. You can have lower tiers than that, but we're just going to go with D as the lowest. S tier being the best. Now, one thing that we add as a little fun nuance, though, is that we have 5 items that we are going to rank in those 5 tiers, but you can only have 1 item in any given tier. So you end up having to kind of put some things maybe in a lower tier than what you might want to. So it adds a little bit of spice to this, if you will, so to speak. OldManLogan, you ready for this, man? You excited for this?
Yeah, that explanation was all kinds of fucked up, but I'm ready to go with it. Let's go.
That's my goal. My goal is partially to just trigger you guys as well. Because like if I can make Bones put something like Kansas City Chiefs in D tier, my job has been accomplished.
Fucking Bones. That's a conversation for another day.
Right, exactly. All right, we're going to be tier ranking cocktail drinks today, guys. This is, I think, our first drink-themed tier ranking that we have had so far. Most everything has been food-related. So 5 cocktail drinks. We have the margarita, an old-fashioned, a martini, a daiquiri, and a mule. Now, OldManLogan, I'll say this. For those 5 things, there's obviously variations on a lot of those things. And what I'm going to say is you can use your favorite variation on any of those. So, for instance, for me, I'm a Kentucky Mule fan, more so than I am a straight regular mule, which uses vodka. So if you want to use your favorite version of any of these, that's fine by me. So
I'm gonna be real easy. I'm actually I'm a big fan of the old fashioned Manhattan. Like
we don't have it on here.
I'm a whiskey kind of bourbon guy, so
it's gonna be easy for you. All right, well let's start things off with the margarita. Super duper duper famous margarita, guys. For OldManLogan, do you use salt or sugar on your rim?
Salt.
Salt, okay.
It's got to be salt.
I'm a sugar guy. Do you do it on the rocks or do you do it? What's the term for not on the rocks? But the
frozen.
Frozen. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely frozen.
Okay. I actually tend to prefer on the rocks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm a little weird. Okay. Sugar and on the rocks is my preferred version there. But I appreciate
frozen with a nice salty rim. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Nice salty rim. We'll let you guys handle
salty
that
rim.
Comment. Yeah.
Yeah, you take that. Take that how you will.
Where are you putting margarita? Do you have a preferred flavor of margarita? I guess I should ask that first.
There's been a couple mixes that my
Mhm.
wife and I have tried.
Yeah.
She likes strawberry and watermelon. I'm
Hmm.
like, "Bleh."
Yeah.
I'm more of a tropical, but I do have to say the classic
Hmm.
margarita mix is kind of my go-to.
I'm kind of with you. I don't mind strawberry, but for me, it's either the classic mix or another one I really like is mango. I'm a big fan of a mango margarita. Have had that a couple of times.
Mango is good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
mango
not
is good.
overly sweet, but it gives you just a little difference in flavor. So it's
Yeah,
kind of nice. Um,
I agree.
where are you putting margarita at in your tier ranking, sir?
Ugh. Well, old fashioned is number one, margarita is number two.
Okay, so you're saying margarita is A tier, correct?
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
below the S.
absolutely. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I am surprisingly with you on that one. I'm gonna put the margarita in A tier as well. I think there's so many variations flavor wise, and obviously you can do different rims on the rocks, frozen, et cetera, et cetera. Like there's so much variety to this, and it's so easily approachable
Yeah.
that I just think it's such a good, solid, great drink across the board. So I'm gonna go
Oh no, I
A.
agree.
I definitely have one
100%.
that I prefer more, but I imagine most people would say S tier on this one probably too. I'm surprised we were that on board with margarita. I guess margarita's a pretty easy one to do though.
Well, the other thing is margaritas are good.
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
Everybody likes a margarita. Who's
Right,
going to say no?
you're
Hey, do you
right.
want a margarita? It's cocktail hour.
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah, you do. You want a fucking margarita. Get out of here. Everybody wants a fucking margarita. They're
I'm with
fucking
you.
beautiful. Frozen on the rocks doesn't matter. You're sipping a sweet yet sour, great fucking drink, and you're catching a buzz. Who doesn't want that?
Yeah, I agree with you on that, man. Pretty straightforward on that one, guys. Pretty easy. All right, next up, old fashioned. So this is gonna be an easy one for you. A little more nuanced for me. A little more nuanced. Do you have a preferred old fashioned type, or do you just go straight traditional old fashioned?
I go straight traditional,
Mm-hmm.
but the whiskey or bourbon that I would like in it is Woodford Reserve.
Okay, I can appreciate that. I'm a big Woodford Reserve fan. I
Yeah.
switch between that and Elijah Craig typically, are my two go tos. Good, but not
I
overly
am
expensive.
a I switch between either Woodford Reserve. If I want to sip a good bourbon,
Mm-hmm.
I will switch between Maker's Mark
Mm-hmm.
or Woodford Reserve.
Yeah, Maker's Mark is also a good one too. Like regular
Yep.
Maker's Mark, or you get the oh, what's it called? There's like
Oh,
a premium
that-
version or something.
dude, there was a Maker's Mark that I got that was over 100 proof, and here I am thinking, oh, it's Friday night, man, 100 proof. I'll have a couple glasses. Dude, I was shit faced. Absolutely shit faced. I woke up feeling like absolute dog shit the next morning. Yep, that happened to me. I misjudged that.
Uh-huh.
And you know what? I respect it now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
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 I've had the regular, and I don't know it was 100 proof. I don't think I had something that was that high. But there was a more premium version of it that I had. It was really good. I don't mind that. I just tend to switch between those two. But for me, so I love a traditional, don't get me wrong. I like the traditional old fashioned a lot. But probably the best drink I've ever had was a banana Foster old fashioned. I was at a
Wow.
I was at a birthday brunch over in I want to say it was Squirrel Hill. It might have been Greenfield. I don't know exactly which area of Pittsburgh it was. It was like right in that borderline area.
Okay.
But we were out for we were celebrating one of my coworkers' birthdays, and we were out for brunch, and they had this custom made banana Foster's old fashioned. Like they literally soak the bananas in the whiskey, and because I was like, oh man, can I get this later, because they closed it off at 11. I was like, can I get this at 1? Do I have to order 3 of them right now? And they're like, no, once we're out, we're out. We don't ever have this again because we have to hand make these old fashions. I was like, wow.
No
And
shit.
yeah, so and it, man, it showed. It was so incredibly good. I've not had it since. It's like a unicorn. But Dude, if it was Banana Foster's old fashioned, that specific one, it would be my S tier. But
Oh my God. Wow.
it is so hard to find that. And typically I'm just having a regular old fashioned. And because of that, I'm going to put an old fashioned in B. Go in B tier.
Okay. All right. B tier. I get that. All right. I'll go with that.
You're not putting it in B though, correct?
No, I'm putting it in A. I'm
Wait,
I'm
wait,
a
wait,
big old fashioned fan.
You had margarita in A.
You're right. So shit. I've had a few.
This is the fun of adding this nuance. You can't double up.
Yeah, margarita is A. Old fashioned is B.
Oh, okay. You're gonna go with me then.
Yep, I'm gonna go with you.
Okay. Oh wow, wow! Look at that! I convinced you. Look at this, guys. I'm successfully arguing some things tonight. It's a first.
He's done well. He has argued some really good points tonight.
I appreciate
I'm not
that.
gonna lie.
I appreciate that, sir. All right, so we've got old fashions in B, margaritas in A. Moving on to the martini. A martini.
The martini.
I'll go first on this one because I have fairly strong opinions on this one. So I've had a martini, I think all of 2 times in my life. One I made at home, and then one I got down at the Capitol Grill in downtown Pittsburgh, and it was like a $30 freaking drink. And it was, don't get me wrong, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't anything that amazing either. Like, it was just okay. And for $30, you can go suck it. Like, I am not paying $30 for just a Canadian level drink. So
Yeah, martinis are like they're pedestrian.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, here's a martini.
Yeah.
You're like, right?
yeah, for me it's D tier. It's not even Canada because it costs a fortune. At least the one that I had that was decent.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, no. I've never understood martinis. I don't understand people that like martinis. I don't like, I'd like a martini with 3 olives. That's gross. I mean, I'll eat olives. I'll eat olives.
See, I hate
all day.
olives too.
I don't want them in my drink. I don't want them in my drink. I don't want them. No, don't want them.
Yeah, I can't stand olives. So that's another turn off for me. Like, ugh, no thank you.
Yeah, no.
So where are you putting martini? Are you going D tier as well?
Oh God, D or F.
Oh wow.
Yeah. No, I'm not a martini fan. I like vodka. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I like vodka.
Yeah.
But I'm in that form, no.
Interesting.
No.
Wow, we're on the same page on a lot of this. This is surprising. I thought for sure we'd have
Yep.
some different takes on these. Interesting. All right, martini is D tier, officially confirmed, guys. All right, moving on to daiquiri. I'm going to let you go first on this one because I'm intrigued to see. I don't expect you to have daiquiri very high, but I could be wrong.
Really, daiquiri is like training wheels for someone that just started having a drink. Like, let's be fun. If we're going to be real on this show and we're going to talk truth, let's talk truth. Like if you, all right, if you're a young lady
Mm-hmm.
and you're just dabbling in alcohol, yeah, okay, have a daiquiri. If you're a male 28 to 34 and you have a daiquiri,
Old Man Logan is drink shaming everybody.
you might want to reevaluate some shit. Just saying, daiquiris, no.
So I'll counter argue that to some degree. So I am a 42-year-old man, almost 43, and I have strawberry daiquiri mix in my fridge because I like a good strawberry daiquiri from time to time. I am not opposed to having a strawberry daiquiri. I am comfortable in my sexuality, sir.
For those people that are comfortable in that AO, absolutely. But the daiquiri, I can't get behind it. I can't do, like,
I'll say
can't do the
this.
daiquiri.
I can
Yeah.
understand. So for me, one of my biggest problems with like cocktail drinks in particular is the sweet factor. Like I just can't drink super sweet drinks over and over and over again. Like so with a daiquiri, for instance, I can only have one. One daiquiri is my max because it's just too sweet. But I can try to kind of offset it a little bit. Like if I'm doing strawberry, I can try to throw something in like some bitters or something like that just to give it a little bit of a different flavor punch or profile to it. So it's not quite so overly sweet. But that is kind
That's
of
how I
my thing with
yeah,
it.
that's how I feel about some margaritas. Like
Mhm.
you have a really, some
Mm.
margaritas are really sweet.
Yes, yeah, they
And
are.
you'll have one or two, and then you're like, your taste buds kind of reject it. You're
Yep.
like, there's way too much sweetness going
Yeah.
on. That's why I do love a good margarita, but after one or two, I'm kind of done. Because then your palate is like, okay, I'm overloaded. I want something different. And then I have a bourbon, and then you mix tequila with bourbon, and then you're waking up with your head feeling 10 sizes too big.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I'm not disagreeing at all. I do like daiquiris, but I have a limit to how many I can have. Where are you putting your daiquiri at, sir? You got C and S left. I'm assuming not S.
see,
Okay, so you're going Canada. Okay, we're gonna have the same. This is crazy. We're gonna have the same tier ranking on this. I'm going C as well. I don't
See?
mind a daiquiri. It's good, but I'm limited to one. I can't do more than one of them. Pretty straightforward. Are you a strawberry daiquiri person? Like if you're gonna do a daiquiri, what's your flavor?
it would have to be strawberry.
Strawberry, yeah. Okay. So yeah, traditional there. All right, our final one then is the mule. Traditionally, a mule is made with vodka and ginger beer. For anybody that's not familiar, you might have some other little variations to it, but I'll go first a little bit on this one just to give some background here, Old Man Logan. So I prefer a Kentucky mule. A Kentucky mule is whiskey instead of vodka mixed with ginger beer. I also add a little bit
Daka,
of,
should we just agree with everything from here on out?
it sounds like that might be the case. Isn't this what you
Like-
tend to do in the Three Scoundrels too? You're just like, whatever you guys say, I'm done.
Dude, the fact that you went, well, a mule can be made different ways, and here I am going, he's gonna say whiskey, and whiskey.
Uh-huh. Yep, yep.
Like, yeah.
We're essentially
That's
the same person.
Only way to have a fucking mule. That is it. That
Oh,
is
really?
it. Done.
Interesting. So,
That's ginger beer and whiskey
yeah,
is a fucking treat.
Yeah.
It's an absolute treat. It's so good. You can have that in the winter. You can have it in the summer. It can be light. You can mix it and put it in a glass. You could even put it in a small glass on the rocks. That is a drink that can be served any time of year.
before we continue, did anybody else that is listening just think that Old Man Logan was quoting Dr. Seuss, but just messed up the rhyming scheme? Because he was like, you can have it in the winter. You can have it in the summer. You can have it on a table. You can have it in a chair. Like it sounded like green eggs and ham at first. When
You
were
can have
going
it
with this.
here. You can have it there. You can have it anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. Sam, I am. I do not like green eggs and ham.
It literally sounded like you were trying to do Dr. Seuss. It was hilarious. But yeah, I'm with you, man. I am team Kentucky Mules, which is with the with whiskey. I also add a little bit of lemon juice to mine. Do you add any lemon juice to yours at all?
I've added lime. I have
Okay.
not added lemon juice, but I'm willing to give that a shot.
Yeah. So sometimes I'll do lime as well. It just kind of depends on my mood and to some degree what I have in the house as well. I'm not always I don't always have the limes, so sometimes I have to use lemon juice instead. But I like that little bit of acidity to cut into it. Just adds a little
There
extra
you go.
profile too.
Yep.
So, but I'm going S tier, man, because of the Kentucky Mule in particular. For me, this is my number one drink. I could drink them all day long. Like they're sweet because of the ginger beer, but they also have a little of the acidity because of the juice, and they got some of that punch and that smoky flavor because of the whiskey. It's just it hits all the profiles of the taste buds, man. You going S
No,
tier?
Yeah, S tier. It really does. It's one of the, and I think it's one of those drinks that it transcends season. Like it
Hmm.
can be drank, like you can have that any time of year. Like wine.
Right.
Um, during the winter, I tend to go more red. During the summer, I go white.
Yeah.
A good mule like that can be any time depending on how you make it.
That's a
It's
very
one
good
of
point.
those cocktails that is season enduring. It
Mm.
doesn't matter what season it is, if it's done right, it satisfies the palate. You get the ginger beer, some of the sourness, and then you get the bourbon, and it's just so good.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think this might be the first tier ranking that we have had where both me and the guest agreed on every single item. That's crazy, dude. This might be a
I
first.
like being a first. I'll
Yeah,
go with it.
there you go. You are officially a first. Aussie Mike, I'm going to mention something. Aussie Mike in chat, guys, in our live recording of this, mentioned that this whole episode is viewer questions, technically. Technically, actually, it is not. Fun fact for those of you that are listening and unaware, we do take viewer questions. We take those questions over on Discord. If you guys would like to, check out the video description and or description on audio if you're on Spotify and things like that. And head over to Discord because you can submit your own questions for us to check out and discuss here on the podcast, folks. We actually did not have any viewer submitted questions today, which is a first, I think. I think we've always had a viewer submitted question at least once.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nobody asked
Yeah.
a question?
Well,
Ugh.
we've had questions. It's kind of up to my discretion. So we have questions I can pull from. It's just that none of them necessarily hit on the topics that we were discussing today.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
That makes sense.
it depends on the
sense.
guest and your strengths. Like your strengths were
Yep.
like you said that we said before the recording. You gave me a real nice detailed rundown. So none of the viewer questions quite lined up with your strengths. So sorry guys, get wrecked. Old man Logan said, "Suck it."
Aussie Mike threw some Aussie Mike. I love Aussie Mike, but he
Yeah.
he made another comment.
Yep, I see it. Yep. He pretty much called me out exactly what we just said there. There were
He
viewer
did.
questions. Yes,
He
I just thought they were
did.
terrible. It's just not a democracy, so to speak.
No,
Yeah.
it is not.
But guys, feel free to head over to Discord and submit any of your questions that you would like us to address here on the podcast. That would be thoroughly appreciated and absolutely awesome to have that on here. Aussie Mike, or not Aussie Mike, Jesus. Old Man Logan, that pretty much wraps up our 5 topics for today, sir. It's been awesome discussing this stuff with you. It's been a great episode, in my opinion. For anybody that thought you were awesome or is still unsure about you at this point, how can they watch more of you so they can come to an opinion that you are absolutely awesome and see more of your content?
All right, I appreciate you pimping out my shit from there. So every Thursday, 3 scoundrels and a cantina, giving you the latest and greatest and opinionated base shit on Star Wars: Galaxy of Heroes, the game. Bob and I want to say this kind of reservedly, we're still trying to get it off the ground. My co-host has had a lot of personal things go on. We are trying to do on every Wednesday. We're trying to do something different, like a news podcast. I would really like to go over some of the latest and greatest issues that are going on in our country and abroad and how it's going to affect you. It's one of the hobbies that I tend to enjoy. I'm very active in politics. I'm very active in world news. I'm reading stuff on a daily basis, so that's something we're looking to get off the ground. But other than 3 scoundrels and Old Bone, in fact, the new show, I'm trying to tag it as the Old man's Bones newsroom. So it's going to be me and Bones.
It's a mouthful.
So it's the Old Man's Bones newsroom. So that's how we're kind of looking to sell that. We're going to try to get it off the ground this week, if not next week, but we're working on it again. He's had a lot going on. But Shaka, dude, this has been a treat. This has been
Glad to hear that, man.
I have not enjoyed being on a podcast in a long, like, this has been outstanding. I enjoyed the NFL talk, all the different topics. I wish you the best of luck. I know you're not doing Swigo, so I do. I wish you the best of luck in your endeavor in doing this show. This is a great show.
Oh, thank you, man.
For those that have followed Shaka with his Swigo account, if you're looking for an escape and just to talk about some shit, this is the show to do. Like tune in.
Oh, thank
Tune
you.
in to this man's shit. This is the way to go.
Thank you, sir. I
So,
really appreciate that.
I appreciate your show. I appreciate you allowing me to, be on your platform, and I got nothing for love for you, brother.
No, thank you, man.
I'll let you close it out.
Appreciate it, sir. Just a point of clarification, guys. So he was saying about Bob. Bob is AKA Bones. Bones was one of our previous guests earlier as well.
Yep.
So just a little clarification there for anybody out there that is not familiar with the Swugga community at all. Just a heads up on that. Well, hey, man, I have had a ton of fun having you on tonight. It's been a ton of fun. Hopefully all you guys out there that have been listening and or watching also have really appreciated this as well. One thing I just want to say to the closing little comment here, guys, we have had a lot of views across YouTube as well as Spotify in terms of listening and things like that, but we don't have a ton of follows or subscribers on YouTube, if you will. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, if you enjoyed this, make sure not only do you go check out Old Man Logan over there on Three Scoundrels Cantina, as well as their new podcast they got coming out here in the future, but also drop a like, guys. Drop a subscribe, drop a follow. It would be really greatly appreciated to keep us rolling and keep us going. Aussie Mike, what I will do is, because I don't have it right off the top of my head to be able to put in, but I'll put it in Discord. And I will also link it in the Spotify as well as YouTube description. So he asked about the link to the Three Scoundrels. I will definitely put that in all of those things, guys. So, all right, everybody. With that being said, have a wonderful rest of your night. And let's close it on out with some Shawk Talk, shall we, everybody? See ya. See you next time.
Welcome on in and take a seat. Conversations that can't be beat. Music and movies to name a few. Sports and drinks and tiramisu. This is a podcast for everyone. Time to chat and have some fun. Shawk Talk, Shawk Talk. Time to chat and have some fun. Shawk Talk, Shawk Talk. This is a podcast for everyone. Shawk Talk, Shawk Talk, Shawk Talk, Shawk Talk.